Is this a Hail Mary pass?
No, this is, look, first of all, Intel puts the plans together to work on their new chips many, many, many years out, designing new capabilities, imagining what they're going to be, working on the chemistry behind these things. So this 14-nanometer chip, a wafer that they make this chip on, is an enormous advancement in semiconductors. But what it's going to let them do with these new chips is, yes, your computer's going to be a little bit faster, your graphics are going to render more quickly. But when you think about the way people use their computers now, Intel had to think, 7, 8, 9 years ago that people would be using a lot of video. They were imagining worlds where you'd have things like Netflix and Hulu streaming onto your device. But also imagining really, really thin computers, these ultra-thin computers that they're hoping will be enabled by these new chips to run a lot longer, a lot cooler, so they can allow these things to be very thin and not have to run a fan, which is a big user of power, and therefore have much longer battery life, all because this chip is so much more efficient.
Okay, so if it's more efficient and clearly it's going to deliver a lot more, is it going to help power some of the devices that will use these chips, and I'm talking about their sales? Well,
so this is really focused on the world of laptops, or these multi-dimensional laptops where you've got sort of the screen that'll pop off that you can take notes like you would a tablet, but then put it right back on there and use it as a laptop as well. But their hope is that this will drive a lot more demand into this sector that has seen now, I think, 3 years in a row of declining sales, and that's a big bet for them. But this is still a huge business. It's interesting that Intel has actually gained market share even as that business is shrinking.
Well, according to Intel's general manager of mobile products, there's an estimated 1 billion computers in use that are more than 3 years old. So this is basically ditch your computer and just go over to us.
And the upgrade cycle, much to the annoyance of Microsoft and Intel more than any other company, the upgrade cycle has become extended, where people and companies are not replacing their, as you mentioned, 3 years, but across all devices. What we're seeing actually, particularly U.S. companies, that their upgrade cycle both for tablets and they've folded in essentially tablets, that they might make a big purchase every third year or every second year, but it's not the latest PC. Every other year it might be a tablet. Every 2 years later it might be the PC. But the result is for both devices you've seen a much slower upgrade cycle. And here's the biggest worry. For Intel, the biggest worry is that the computer you have is just fine enough, thank you very much, I don't need to replace it.
Really.
And that maybe you don't need to have the upgrades that we needed to have for Intel drove with the PC industry for 30 years plus.